Alright, so on a typical Aston Martin, this is an '05, I imagine it's the same, probably well into the teens, if not all the way up into the 2020s. But this is kind of a short video on the brake job, basics that you need to know, whether you're doing pads, rotors, calipers, emergency brake, whatever. But so this car needed pads and rotors. Calipers were fine, a little dinged up, but they're fine. For a 20-year-old car, I think they were actually the original brake pads that were still on it. But just real quick and dirty here, how to knock these things out. The front of the car, if you've never worked on a set of Brembo brakes, and that's what they are, you knock these pins out with a little punch. I mean, just a little punch and a dead blow hammer, knock those out. You can pull them out the back. This spring clip here, put that down, get you some light. This spring clip holds against the pins and puts pressure on the pads. So if you get this pin out, top and bottom, this spring's just going to pop right off. It just bends. So pull those off, and then your pads, if you've never done this before, that's the black things here. And they just slide out. They might be stiff, so if you are throwing away the pads and you're just doing a pad job, you can stick a screwdriver in here. I'm trying to get a light to shine up here fine. You can get a screwdriver between the pad and the rotor and put a little bit of pressure on it and pull that pad towards the rotor on both sides, and it'll give you a little bit of a wiggle room, and then you can just pull the pad and pull it straight out. This is the used one that came off. Show that real quick. That just slides out like a card, and should be able to wiggle it around, pry on a little bit, get you some room, and pull them out. Shouldn't have to take the whole caliper off and compress the pistons or anything. You should just, literally, a pad job should be about 5 minutes per corner if all you're doing is pulling the pads off, and that's after you've got the car up and got the weight off the wheels and pulled the tires off, blah blah blah. If you're doing rotors, of course you got to pull the caliper, and the caliper, again, pull the pads on the thing, and then there's a bolt up here at the top and a bolt down here at the bottom, Allen head or socket head cap screw, whatever you want to say it. Unscrew those. This whole caliper is going to come off. Get yourself a bungee cord, just a standard bungee, and tie it up to your spring so that it doesn't have to hang from the hydraulic line. And then you're going to pop these screws out. They should come out pretty easy. I'm assuming most of these cars are not sitting in the north and Rust Belt and outside all the time. But they might rust around here. So put a little bit of penetrating fluid on it before you get it going. Let it soak for a little bit. But pop these screws off. If you're throwing away the rotors, just grab a pry bar or something, stick it in the vents. You've got they're ventilated brake rotors if you've got steel. If you got carbon ceramic, take some more care with them. But the steel, stick something in there and pry on it. Try to pop it from the bottom, from the sides. If it's not corroded here, it's probably going to come off real easy. On this car, one popped off without any force at all. The others took a little bit of grunt, but it was nothing major. Again, it wasn't like doing a car in the Rust Belt. But they should come right off. There shouldn't be any issues there. Make sure your mating surface on the back is clean and flat. There's no corrosion or anything back there. There is, when you look at these brakes right here, this is for a electronic brake sensor. And what it tells you is, on the dash of the car, it'll tell you that the brakes need to be serviced because it's telling you that the pads are wore out. Again, let me grab this other one. So you can see this groove here. That's where the wear indicator goes. And instead of like a lower end car, instead of having just a piece of metal that rides on the caliper and squeaks and tells you it's time to replace it, this thing's actually got a sensor that goes into that brake pad. And the other end of it is just a quick connect, and it's up here behind your shock. It's right through here. It's just mounted right to the chassis. You can pull them off. They're like $30. You can replace them with your pads, and that's what the Aston recommends it. You don't need them technically. It won't set any lights if you just don't hook them back up. On this car, 2 of them were already damaged. I broke another one pulling off the the pads because, again, they've been in there for 20 years. And the fourth one, I was like, I just don't trust it not to be broke somewhere, so I took them off. For the track, I'm more worried about temperature than I am wear, and around town, I mean, these cars just don't get very many miles in a year. Get a lot of inspections on them, so I didn't need it. So that's the front, real simple. Again, 2 bolts, 2 pins, 2 more bolts here. This whole thing will come off. It put it back together in reverse fashion. The fronts are very easy. Shouldn't have to do anything else, but while you're in there, it is probably good while you've got this all out of the way. Grab yourself a tanker bar or a big pry bar or something and try to move your control arms around. Inspect your bushings. Make sure they're still good. A couple years of Astons were known to have casting weak spots that would crack. I don't know all the years for that, but just take a look. And of course, if you notice some kind of wiggle in your suspension while you're driving it and then you're going in for a brake job, really pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, just look around. You should have, everything should be clean. There should be no cracks in the castings. Nothing should wiggle. Nothing should vibrate. You can make sure that your switch here is in good shape. You'll have them on all 4 corners. Make sure your brake lines look good. There's no leaks or anything. So that's that one. The rear's got a little bit more of a uniqueness to it. Again, the caliper is the same thing, just slightly smaller. It's 2 pins, 2 bolts, same spring clip. Grab that light again. You're going to have the same wheel sensor on this one, or a brake wear indicator sensor. Again, I'm not putting it back on this. The rotor is the same. You still got the bolts in the middle there. Try to get this light right. You still got to pull these out. The uniqueness of the rear is your rear emergency brake caliper. And I've seen a lot of videos online, a lot of people asking questions. How do I do this? Where's it at? How do I service it? One, it's a Brembo brake caliper, single piston. The pads in it will probably outlast your car. And you just don't use your emergency brake that much. But there are a couple things to note on it. If you're doing pads, you don't need to touch this. If you're doing rotors, then you need to take off your emergency brake. And some cars have electronic releases. Some have a mechanical, like you can come down here and just undo your adjuster far enough that it'll release and you can slide it off. If you've got a rotor that's really worn, it's going to have a lip back here on the edge, and this thing is not going to want to come past it. The easiest way to service these things on at least this style, take the bolts out. You can actually drive these pins out, and just like the pins on the front one here, you can drive these out from the back if you can get a punch in there, and you can drive it out and you can pull your pads out just like you did the others. It's got a little retention spring in there. You can do that. Mine were pretty corroded and jammed up. So I just took the 2 bolts out, split the caliper in half. There's no hydraulic on this side. And then that allows you to do the rotor. If you need to take this whole assembly off completely, because you shouldn't have to, you should just be able to have to do the front. If you take the whole assembly off, there are 2 bolts in the rear. One is captured, meaning you're not going to get it off or out. It's going to hit the shock. The bottom one will come out completely. This one will come out far enough that this whole caliper can lean forward. And then once you get it out here, then you can pull the bolt out and clean it and service or replace it, whatever you want to do. There is no need. You can see here that the emergency brake cable has been disconnected. That was me rebuilding this caliper, so I'm in the process of putting that back together. When you go to put this thing back on, if this has been adjusted for a worn down rotor, you're going to have to readjust the piston in here so that it has more gap for this thicker rotor. So this is where you get into a problem where if these are severely worn and your emergency brake's been adjusted and it's closed in, you're going to have to take this whole assembly off. Go ahead, split it in half, take these 2 bolts out, pull the front half off, go ahead and pull the rear pad out. It'll probably come right out. Unbolt the thing, pull the back half of the assembly off. This is going to hold it together. You can use a bungee cord also on this if you wish. But don't try to disconnect it from the car. Just twist it around. It'll move freely. When you do that and you pull the back half off and you pull the pad out, there is a piston with 2 holes in it. And you'll just grab a pair of pliers, stick it in those holes, and turn the piston until it goes in. And as you turn it, the piston will go in, and that'll give you room to be able to then put this back on, put it back together with your new brake pads or the originals. In this case, I didn't replace the emergency brake pads. But now I have enough width that it'll go over this thicker rotor. And that's the one pain point. There's not a whole lot online about that. And I've seen a lot of people asking questions and struggling with how to get this off because that groove is there and I can't get this thing on. There's a lot of videos of people prying it and hammering on it. You don't need to do that. The easiest way, just take these 2 bolts out. Replace if this is not horribly worn. But if it's too thin, you have to take the 2 back bolts out. And it's 13 millimeter. This will be your friend. Get a ratcheting wrench, 13 millimeter, because it's a tight spot back there. Again, inspect the rear, take a look. Back here, you're going to have drive shafts, so you need to take a look at that. They will wiggle around, the drive shafts will, but your suspension should be clean. There should be no issues. Something to look for on the Astons is if I've seen several of them where that bolt right there is the hole that it goes through is oblonged because somebody was probably doing an alignment or they did a control arm and they didn't get it tight. And these things seem to put a lot of torque right there. And they wear out those holes, and then your car will do funny things going down the road under torque. Look for your bushings, make sure they're not worn out. All your links. One nice thing about these cars is you can actually, just eBay them or a Scudera and look at parts. And for a couple $100 you can buy all the parts. Don't go to Aston. Brake pads. You got a few options out there, but these are the fairly common ones. So I think that one's rears and that one's fronts. I want to say they were like $300 shipped, so not the cheapest things in the world, but I mean, it is a specialty car. So that's the brake jobs in a nutshell. Some of the other tools and things you'll probably want, typical brakes. Here's some paste for the brakes to try to prevent squealing. There is one thing with, of course, Aston, and I don't know if this was an Aston specific thing or just Ford because they owned them at the time when this car was built, but the lug nuts. If you haven't taken your car's wheels off in a while, the lug nuts are an acorn style with a chrome beauty cover on them. And those chrome beauty covers, if they ever get any type of moisture in them and they get cold and they swell because they freeze a little bit, this little chrome piece will swell up and then your sockets have to be hammered on. And it's absolute pain. It's not specific to Aston, but somehow they made them onto the Astons from the factory. And this is what they look like after you had to beat them out of the socket. So we've got a new set of lug nuts for this that are actual stainless steel. They don't have this beauty cover on them, so we won't have that problem again. But just know that may be your first pain point when you're trying to get these things apart. So again, pads are easy. Pads and rotors on the front are easy. Pads and rotors on the rear, you've got the emergency brake. That's a bit of a pain in the butt. But just know how to do it. Again, take the 2 bolts out. Take the rear 2 bolts, pull the whole thing off, screw that little piston back in so that it gives you some more clamping room, and put them back on. 10 minutes aside additional to the rear. You should be good. Inspect everything while you're back here. So that's the brakes on an Aston in a nutshell. Don't ask me about torque specs. I had to look them up as I was going. I didn't document them or write them down. They're all over the internet, though. The hard part was so many people didn't know what to do with that emergency brake, or they didn't know what that sensor was for. They didn't know how to disconnect it or where to buy it. Really, pads, rotors, sensors, everywhere from eBay to Amazon to Scudera to, when you can go to Aston if you really want to spend some serious money. But if you really want to go cheap, I think you could probably do it for $500-600 if you got some time to source the parts. There's some people out there that have noted some pretty cheap stuff and where to get it. And then, of course, sales and time of year make a little bit of a difference. I think a lot of people are spending, you go to eBay and you look at it, it's $1,400 for a kit shipped to your door, and it's going to have everything. Wear indicators, pads, rotors, everything all at once. It's going to show up. It's going to be a 300-pound package. Your wife's going to hate it when she thinks she's going to carry it in. But it's all in one kit. Or you can go piecemeal it, like I said, a lot cheaper. And then another one is you can actually upgrade the calipers and rotors. They're fairly interchangeable from year to year. You just got to do a little bit of research. There's some people out there that make the kits. Or they pull together the kits. It's all OEM parts. And then there's some guys out there that do a little bit of an upgrade kit with like Willwood and some other brands. And then, of course, you've got the all-in, aftermarket racing setups. And you can, with just a little bit of prep, swap back and forth between steel and carbon ceramic if you want, and that's what you're going after. Or if you're tired of replacing carbon ceramics, you can pull those off, and some of those parts are worth a lot of money even in their used form. Sell those off and put really nice set of steels on. I mean, nicer than these factory Brembos. So lots of options. Cool cars. Fairly easy to work on. Some lead time on parts occasionally, but that's the brake job in a nutshell. Have fun.